invocation.
Brothers and sisters in Rotary, bow our heads and thank you on this beautiful day for the kind works and great gifts that we do in our fellowship, the people that we support and help, and in our everyday national, international, and all the works of Rotary we each participate in. So thank you and amen.
Amen. Thank you, John. Michael.
Good morning, Emmaus Rotary. You sounded great this morning. I'm not sure who's here today that's not usually here, but it sounded really good this morning. Thank you. Great start. We have some guests that are all at the head table here today. Mark and Clara Deneen. Good morning. And Let's introduce our speaker this morning.
All right, good morning, everybody. A couple of announcements before we get to the other announcements. The President's changeover dinner is going to be, breakfast, is going to be June 27th in the morning. The recognition dinner is going to be at Bear Creek. It will be the same evening. Okay, so if you have a chance to put that on your calendar, there'll be more coming forward in the trumpet after our conference. All right, we have a very special person in the group today. And this Saturday, she's going to be given a lifetime contribution for her work at St. Anne's Parish, okay? Cecilia, will you stand, please? Most Rotarians do a lot of work outside of just Rotary, and Cecilia has done a fantastic job at St. Anne's. If you have a chance and you don't have anything to do Saturday night, they're having a recognition dinner for her. I don't even know where it is. You know where it is? At the Sales University. What? The Student Union? Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements from the floor? Cindy?
I just have a quick one. So, guess what I'm going to talk about? Our conference. So our goal, okay, was to have 300 people attend. We've never done that before. As of this morning at 6:04, okay, we have over 314. Not counting, that's with the guests and everything. Usually we get like 225, something like that attend every year, same people. And where we need help, and Eric and Sue may say something, is we only have 70 people signed up for the Craig Thatcher that are from the public. So we have some postcards out there. For Emmaus, you can still sign up. There's 4 ways. You can come to the full conference, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can come Saturday only, which is from 7:30 in the morning, which will last through the concert Saturday night. You can come from noon on Saturday till 4:30 on Saturday, which is training. It's a luncheon, speaker, and breakout sessions. Or you can come just to the concert with your friends, family, etc. So please sign up. We have to give the meals and everything to the hotel on Monday. But we have a good showing at Emmaus, but especially some new people, I think you're going to be awed. This is going to be pretty different. So thank you. It's exciting.
Cindy, one question. On Saturday, how do you attend the training? How do you sign up and attend?
Okay, you can sign up for any of these things if you go to rotarydistrict7430.org. On the front page, when you scroll down on the left-hand side, is clicking for all the ways that you can attend. If you click on conference, when it takes you to Eventbrite, you can click on the Saturday only or the full conference. Then there's another line you can click on District Training Assembly, and then there's another line you can click on Craig Thatcher. Okay, so if you have a problem, let Sue know, let Eric know, let me know, and we can get you in.
Thank you.
Can I
You go ahead. Dovetail on that.
Please sign up for the concert, just the concert. Bob Rust is buying tickets for his staff. So all they have to do is just show up at 8 o'clock on Saturday night and they get a big concert. So, it's a great thing, $25, and then when you go on Eventbrite, I think there's a couple of dollars on for the fee. But it's a great way to support Rotary and give your staff some some venues. So thank you. And it's easy, if you can't do it, it's just eventbrite.com, and then they show Allentown, and then they go Craig Thatcher, it's really big, and then this comes up on the screen, and you just click on it, and it's done. So we have 1,200 seats in Symphony Hall. So any of those seats that are filled are $25 more that we can put toward hunger.
Thank you. Eric?
Just a quick one. For all the folks who have graciously volunteered to help out at the conference, Tim Ritter and I will be getting emails going out. I have a group email for everybody who's acknowledged that they're willing to help, with where we'll be assigning people for the times that we're going to need them. So information is forthcoming. Again, I appreciate you volunteering to help out for things. In the way of Fridays, one of our bigger crunch times is making sure people can get from that crazy parking garage into the lobby of the hotel. That one's probably one of the trickier ones to do. The rest will get sorted out, so emails will be coming forward, and make sure Jim has your cell phones for everyone who's volunteered, because that's going to be our main form of communication for the conference, is through cell phones. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Ralph?
Just want to remind everybody that next meeting, I will be collecting food for the meeting, and anybody who can bring in food, I will appreciate very much.
Thank you, Ralph. Bryce?
Tonight, beef and beer, 6 to 9. All the proceeds go towards the foundation scholarship, so thank you everyone who has helped out. A lot is going on with the club, so it's exciting that all these good events are going on, and we're doing a good job. So anyone who can, tickets are still available, you can show up at the door and walk in as well. So it should be a fun time. If you stay long enough, JP will be singing, dancing probably by 9 to 10 o'clock. Nice. So come watch JP dance and sing, 9 o'clock tonight.
And where, is it at the farmhouse or the barn? Or
It's at the barn of the House of Art on the ground level.
Thank you very much. Laura?
Okay, so next week is the last week that any of our senior citizens, if they'd like to sign up for our East Penn Learning Express, which is our first year of doing a tour of the district. So I know Rotary is so wonderful to East Penn School District. So if you'd like to come with us, we're touring an elementary, a middle, and the high school to kind of connect with the kids, see what they're learning, see what they're doing. And since Rotary loves their food, anybody who joins us, we're actually having a luncheon at the end of the bus tour. So if you're interested in coming, please stop by and see me before we leave.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone else? Gary?
Save the date, May 18th, we'll be out at Hillside School. We'll need a bunch of people there. We are not just doing our grounds cleanup, we are going to be installing a whole new flower bed for them. So please mark that on your calendar, that's May 18th. Probably start around 8:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Don't forget May 18th. Anyone else from the floor? All right, we're going to move on to Steve with the raffle.
Last time I won.
469.
469. All right, pick another one, please, Steve. Oh, hold on. Doug Reichley, a little slow. Thank you, Doug.
470.
470. Christine.
Hey. To pay for all my fines. You could draw.
Last 3 digits.
Okay. 458.
458. Congratulations, Gary. Thank you, Steve, for doing that. Don. You're up, sir.
So it's going to committee for under advisement. I know you guys have trouble with the terms brief announcements, and I'm going to say something quick, because by the time it gets to me, I have to cut my fine short or $50 short so we can have a good speaker. So, like I said, under advisement, we'll see what the committee says. There's a committee of 3. And we'll see if your, announcement is too long, that's fine.
Those announcements always had to be paid for till about 2 years ago. Everything that's announcements used to be Happy Dollars. I don't know when this shift started, but there's a lot of leakage in your county.
All right, well, since I didn't take this over 2 years ago, I'll have to go back to the previous committee. And there, also, I just recently received Just Say No to Fine cards that were printed out a while ago. JP will not be getting one now. At some future point. So, Mark Earl gave me money, he's leaving early. Bryce, do you have a pin on?
Nope.
So you have money for me?
But there's beef and beer tonight.
And the extra announcement now costs you more. Steve Gould gave me money for coming in late. He's getting it out of his system before he becomes president. He's just been coming in late for the last couple weeks, I guess. Oh, Gary Guthrie finally paid me from 2 weeks ago. John.
So we get credit.
Credit rating, hey.
I think we have a problem with Bill Urban. Seems to be talking to everybody, so if they're not paying attention. John, do you have a pin on today?
Of course I do.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah, right.
You found one, that's what's good.
No, I got a
Yeah.
couple. I know.
Happy Dollars.
My youngest daughter, Amy, just came back from a trip to Italy. She's the third daughter of ours that has gone over with the Emmaus Chorale group led by Miss Cortez. And they've come here and sung before. She had a great trip. They sang in the Vatican. They sang in the Sistine Chapel, one of only 3 high school groups to be allowed to sing this year. And just a great experience. We're happy to have her back safe and sound.
Heading out to Pittsburgh this weekend. My daughter's graduating from the University of Pittsburgh. She actually graduated December, and we're making her walk. She's not too happy about it. So we say another 2 years to graduate school there.
I have 3 happy dollars. My oldest granddaughter, Ashley Fargo, is on the high honor roll at Ire in the 8th grade. And not to be outdone, but my grandson, my first grandson, Carter Weichel, is on the high honor roll in 7th grade at Ire. Lastly, I have a happy dollar because somebody at our table remembered his pin. He never, ever has his pin on.
That's me, Chris.
However, our joy was short-lived because Halsey, in all the years I've known him, never forgot his pin, but today he forgot his pin, so our joy was short-lived.
My other shirt.
I have a happy dollar for Eric Locke. So last night, Chris and I are finishing dinner, and on the porch there's this knock on the door, and it's Eric. And next Wednesday, we're having like a packing to pack all the bags and stuff. Well, Eric, you can tell, must be working so much on the conference and so much on the concert, and at work he showed up. So Chris gave him a beer, he sat down, he was happy.
Tomorrow is the Sir Optimus of Emmaus bingo. So if you haven't, ladies, if you haven't got your tickets yet, see me. I have a ticket, and it helps the Sir Optimus of Emmaus. I have a ticket.
I have 2 happy dollars. One is I'm glad Lucy's back in the great state of Pennsylvania. We had a grand time in Florida. January was a little cool. February was great. So on and so on. My second happy dollar is my oldest granddaughter. She's a junior at the Ohio State. She informed me that she got an internship to spend 9 weeks in Australia working for the biggest in the world as an intern for 9 weeks. Doesn't get paid, but
my happy dollar today is we moved here to Brookside about 17 years ago. And in 17 years, Robert, could you stand up? Robert has been our server. And Robert, I don't even know your last name, but whenever I come here every week, it's like coming and seeing an old friend. So Robert, you do a great job.
to Seal.
Seal, oh, yes.
Yeah, for her endeavors with the church.
My kids will tell you that they're pretty much sure that Robert's last name is Brookside.
Just say no to fines card. So if I want to fine you and you happen to have it in your possession, then you give that to me and you don't pay the fine. That's how those work for those new people.
Point of order, sir. What do we do with the old ones that have the other gentleman's face on them?
Same gentleman's on that.
Same gentleman's on this one.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. Not that I'll honor it because I know I didn't give it to you. Go ahead.
Waste not.
Steve.
Don, can I get one of those?
Yeah, can I get one?
No.
I know I find them and then I lose them.
All right, we're going to be moving on. Instead of Lexa introducing our guest today, Valerie Denise is going to introduce our guest. Valerie, thank you.
Good morning. I'm so happy to introduce our speaker this morning. This is a great friend of my husband Mark's. This is Joe Marlin, who will be joining us this morning. He started a nonprofit called Plant a Row, which kind of combines my two favorite interests of gardening and giving back to those in the community. And so if you don't already have a garden, I think you'll be inspired to start one after listening to Joe speak. So Joe, come.
Hello. All right, well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Valerie for introducing me. My name is Joseph Marlin, and I started Plant a Row in 2016. I grew up in the Lehigh Valley. I was born in Colorado, but I grew up in the Lehigh Valley, and I graduated with degrees in math and computer science from DeSales University. So I've stayed in the Valley since then. After that, I worked in Bethlehem Township, and currently I'm a SCADA communications engineer with PPL. That said, it's a little bit of a weird transition to make to gardening and helping the hungry, but that's something I have done on the side since I was a little kid. I grew up with a garden. My dad would always break off a part of the family garden and give it to me and let me grow whatever I wanted there, which normally ended up being very healthy weeds. But I've learned a lot since then, and the other thing I grew up doing was working in soup kitchens and food pantries. So I grew up with a strong background in both of these, and when I left college, I said, throughout college I did a lot of volunteering, and they have a lot of very easy access to volunteer groups at college since there's many different clubs on campus. When I left, I didn't really do anything for a while, and so when I decided it was time to start, volunteering again, I wanted to find something that, really excited me. And so, it turns out there's not a lot of gardening charities. It's just a little bit of a weird thing. But this was a great way to combine the two. So we'll talk about Plant a Row a little more. But first I want to define what food security is. Food insecurity is a key topic for you guys here at the Rotary Club. So I'm sure this is not news to you, but food insecurity is simply not having enough food. And with that defined, we can talk about food insecurity here in the Lehigh Valley. Food insecurity is much more of a problem than we expect here in the Lehigh Valley, and there's many different facets to the problem. For example, you may have heard of food deserts, which are areas where food is not available within walking distance. And this is a problem downtown in cities where many people don't have vehicles or don't have reliable access to vehicles, and they also can't walk to a store. And so these people don't have the access to it. But we're going to be focusing a little bit more, instead of the access to it, to the types of food they have. So food insecurity in the Lehigh Valley, 11.3% of Pennsylvanians will experience food insecurity. And in the Lehigh Valley, some 60,000 people are estimated to be needing help to feed themselves or their families in a year. Now, this problem sort of gets exacerbated during summertime because the children in these families that might have been at risk for this problem lose access to subsidized school lunches. Many schools, all public schools, have access to free and subsidized lunches, and this is available to kids with parents with low income or guardians with low income. During the summer, they lose access to these programs, and so this can be an especially difficult time to get these kids food. And it just so happens that this is the exact time that we, as home gardeners, have a unique ability to help this problem, since that's the time when we're going to be getting all our produce. So these two things sort of line up very perfectly. You have home gardeners, and then you have kids who might need this especially. Now, I grew up in Hellertown, outside Hellertown. It's just about 20 minutes down 78, if you don't know where it is, just south of Bethlehem. Hellertown was actually formed by Christopher Heller back in the Revolutionary War era. However, it really came into its own during the big years of Bethlehem Steel, when all the Bethlehem Steel executives wanted some place to live away from the smells and the soot and Southside, and also a key part of that was away from the minorities that all worked in the steel and lived in Southside. And so Hellertown has a very sort of a bigoted past. Unfortunately, I love the town, and I'm a firefighter there, and I'm very engaged there. But my home had a rider in its mortgage that said it couldn't be sold to any African Americans until the 70s. So it's definitely got that sort of past. And so it's still a very white town, and it's a very middle class area where I live. And so it's definitely somewhat of a bubble. But before that, I lived in Southside Bethlehem, on Atlantic Street, which is right in the area where those same Bethlehem Steel executives were trying to flee and trying to hide from and try to avoid. And when I lived there, I had access and the opportunity to see this entirely different world, where people consistently did not have enough to eat, where there was a shooting a half a block away from my house, and so just often high amounts of police activity, just a very different world than my nice Hellertown neighborhood today. And one of the things that I really remembered and really stuck with me, and especially when I was looking at starting this, was one day my two housemates and I, we were hanging. I think we were watching Friends, and we got a knock at our door, and I opened the door, and I just saw this massive chest. And as my eyes panned up to look at this linebacker, basically his face, I was surprised to see just tears streaming down it. And this was a guy twice my weight, just a huge guy, and he was just crying on my doorstep. And he asked for food. He didn't have any food, and so we rustled up some non-perishables and gave them to him. But it was a very humbling. He was completely humbled, and he was just coming to us out of options. And I had never experienced that in my childhood. He couldn't have been more than high school himself. So that was kind of a watershed moment where it just kind of hit me that people don't choose this. I grew up being told that if you work hard, you'll succeed. And kind of the natural corollary, it's not always said, but if you don't work hard, or if you don't succeed, it might be because you didn't work hard. And that's just not always the case. No one I've seen who is experiencing hunger has chosen it, or could get out of it if they wanted to. I mean, there's no absolutes, but for the most part, that's the case. And part of the reason that people are in this situation and can't get out of it is because it is definitely a snowball effect. People who are hungry have a sort of unique problem that they have to dedicate time and energy to not being hungry. This is, first of all, very hard when you're hungry to do anything. If you've ever fasted for religious reasons or for health reasons or for a blood test or something, I'm very grumpy when I'm hungry. and to be like that just as a general way of living it's hard to understand what my head would be like if that was the case. And so not only that, you have to do all this stuff while you're hungry, you have to expend a significant amount of time to not be hungry. You have to go around to food pantries and food banks and meal centers at very precise, irregular times. Many food banks are only maybe open every other week. They're only open one day a week. They're open at 10 a.m., at 9 a.m., at 2 p.m. And this schedule can make it so that you simply cannot have a job and also be at the places you need to get food. And sort of a self-fulfilling, of the worst kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Anyway, beyond the time required to get food, you also have this problem of the energy required to get food. And so you have to go around to all these different places, driving around, catching the bus, getting rides to all these places to get food for you and your family. Don't look.
Don't look, huh?
Now, to add just yet another layer of snowball to this, you also have relatively low quality food at these food pantries. And that means that on top of having to expend energy and time to get food, you're not getting great food. Now the food you're getting at food pantries and meal centers is shelf stable, it transports easily, and it's cheap. And these three things do not necessarily lead to nutritious, wholesome foods. They are absolutely better than nothing. I'm not suggesting that. However, they're not optimal. And just another thing that home gardeners can do is provide nutritious food to those in need. So, and then you also have these health problems that relate from this food. And that's now maybe, if I lost count, it's somewhere around the fourth layer of snowball effect. The low quality food can lead to obesity, diabetes, and obesity itself can lead to its own health problems. So you've really got a bad situation. And Plan Row Lehigh Valley does not in any sense pretend to address the access problems, the problems of the amount of time required, but what it does address is the quality of food. It's no surprise that fruit and vegetables are better for you than a lot of the foods we give out in pantries. Like I said, I grew up in pantries. I know very well the food we give out. Like I said, it's absolutely better than nothing. But as a gardener, I have the ability to give better food. So that brings us to what Plant a Row is. Plant a Row asks you to donate one row of your garden, to set aside one row of your garden and say, this row is going to go to the hungry. I normally plant green beans in my row because I really, really hate them. And that way I won't be tempted to eat them. I'm very willing to give them away. I don't like them. Like I said, the point of the organization is to dedicate one row of your garden to the hungry. But more often than not, the produce we get is extras. I grew up, almost to the point of desperation where we would have to wake up in the middle of the night, leave zucchinis on our neighbor's porch and just slip away. And thankfully, this gives you an option of what to do with excess produce that's slightly less unneighborly. So we have drop-off donation points. We have places where you can take the donations throughout the Lehigh Valley. These are at churches, libraries, stores, garden centers. And basically, I as a home gardener, grow my row or take my extras to the convenient drop-off point. Then our dedicated driver volunteers, and one of which is over here, Tony, actually, will pick up the donations, drive them to a recipient agency, which will then use them. Now, the reason we don't just have you take them directly to the recipient agency is simply that there are fewer recipient agencies and they're often less conveniently located. We want to make these drop-off points as central as possible so as many gardeners as possible will use them. So that's kind of the model of the organization. So far, like I said, we were founded in 2016. I should mention that Plant a Row Lehigh Valley is a local chapter of a larger national organization called Plant a Row for the Hungry. However, the national organization sort of barely exists, if it even does. So for the most part, we're just an independent organization. Last year, we had 326 home gardeners throughout the Lehigh Valley participate, and then the next numbers are sum totals since we were founded, not last year. But since we were founded, gardeners have donated 14,000 pounds of produce that they grew. And that's especially notable because whenever you grow something, you have this sort of bond with it. You saw it when it was a little seedling, and you cared for it, and you put your time and energy into growing that into food that you can eat. And then you gave it away, and that's a special kind of love. To put that much time and energy and then donate it. And so those 14,000 pounds, it's important not to look at that just as a 14,000 number of it's like, well, that's a lot of food, that's pretty good. But also that's 14,000 pounds of food that people cared for and loved and raised and then gave to others. Those 14,000 pounds provided nutritious vegetables and fruits at 56,000 meals. And this year we'll be donating, we'll be hosting drop-off locations at almost 20 locations, and they're scattered throughout the Lehigh Valley there. You can see as far out as New Tripoli and as far south as Coopersburg. As I said, that those donations are picked up and taken to drop-off locations, are taken to recipient agencies throughout the Lehigh Valley. This year, we're going to be going to around 15 different agencies, but the locations near here will be going to Bethel Bible Fellowship, that's in Emmaus, Zionsville Lutheran, that's in Old Zionsville, Casa Guadalupe and 6th Street Shelter, those are both meal centers and homeless shelters in Allentown, and then New Bethany Ministries, which is in Bethlehem. Here is the slide that might be of the most use for you. This is where you can take donations that are nearby you. As you can see, both the library in Emmaus and the Emmaus Community Gardens are both drop-off locations. They are hosted by Sue Kowalchuk. She manages those two locations. I've been so proud of Emmaus. You guys have been killing it. Last year, you were one of the top 3 locations if you look at geographic areas. And other than that, there's also the Bogey Community Garden, which is literally 3 minutes from here because I know because I passed it when I was driving here. And then a little farther out is Southern Lehigh Library. That's just by DeSales. So if you want to participate, you should register on the website. I have cards with the website on them. If you register on the website, you give us your email. We can use your email to sell to marketing companies to get funding. I'm just kidding. We'll use your email to keep you. We'll use your email to keep you updated on changes to the locations throughout the season. We often are adding locations. Sometimes locations close early. There could be volunteer issues. Oftentimes locations will be closed for holidays. 4th of July is always in the middle of our season. And we also send out every week a sort of a progress report of where we are compared to last year, where your point is compared to the other points. Points like to have little races with each other to see who can donate the most. It's great fun. It's very competitive. At least I think it is. As always, we're a volunteer organization, so if you would like to do more, we're always looking for your help. Specifically to Emmaus, the Emmaus Public Library is the only location yet that doesn't quite have volunteers figured out. While the Monday run is covered. We do need someone to take donations from the library to the recipient agencies on Wednesdays, or any other day that you would prefer. And if we don't get someone, then that's fine. We'll just operate on Wednesdays, on Mondays, and not also on Wednesdays. But last year, the library was open Mondays and Wednesdays, and so we'd like to continue that if possible. So if you have a free Wednesday morning or some other morning and would like to help out doing driving for that, let me know. Like I said, I have cards with my email, and we'd be glad to talk. If you have any questions about food insecurity in the Lehigh Valley in general, summer lunch programs, gleaning opportunities. Plan a Row Lehigh Valley operates as a member of the Lehigh Valley Food Policy Council, which is a sort of an advocacy group for food insecurity issues. So I have a lot of contacts there. Anything you're looking to get more looped in, especially since this organization does seem to be so altruistic based. This is my first time with the Rotary Club, and it's just been I loved every minute of it. I loved the little fine cards and everything, and that's just really fun. So thanks for your time and for letting me speak, and I appreciate it.
Any questions for Joseph?
Yes.
Give him several.
Hi, what kind of contact do you have? There seems to be farmers markets popped up in every community. And, they are local people that have farm plots that bring in their fruit and vegetables. But if they don't sell them there, where does that food go? Because it doesn't last indefinitely.
Absolutely. Sorry. Oh. So Plan Row Lehigh Valley is solely based on community gardens and home gardeners. That's our focus. And the reason we are able to focus on just those two things is that there is a different organization that serves farmers. That's called the Lehigh Valley Gleaning Organization. And their entire focus is working with farmers to accept their leftover produce. Now that can come from farmers markets. More often it comes from the actual fields. The Gleaning Organization will send volunteers out to the fields to pick any produce that maybe they couldn't sell. Maybe it's going to be ruined by a frost that night, and so they'll call up the Gleaning Organization and say, hey, this field's going to get ruined. Come get whatever you can before tonight. And so farmers markets and so forth would be covered by the Gleaning Organization.
Thank you.
Sir?
In the same vein, what about the produce and so forth that's in the stores, like Giant and Weiss? Is that somehow picked up and transported by the same or other organization?
Yeah, gleaning from stores would also be under the jurisdiction of the Gleaning Organization. However, there's much less of that going on because stores have a lot of, especially the chain stores, have a lot of policies around that. Some stores have their own corporate gleaning channels already. They already work. Sometimes they form specific, like Wegmans has a specific relationship with multiple pantries already, and also some organizations, some grocers will compost what they don't use, and that's still better than throwing it out. So there's just a lot more red tape, and the Gleaning Organization is working on that, but there's still pretty little. And for right now, they're mostly focusing on farmers. Yes.
Those happy weeds you grew as a kid, were they for medicinal?
That's still illegal here, so I'm not going to answer. Yes, sir.
Please. We have this row and we take it to one of the locations. Would it be possible to make it work, since we have 50 or 60 people coming here every week, much like Ralph does the first Thursday of the month, say the second or third Thursday, those of us who did it could bring it here? Is there a way to get it to someplace after that if we had a collection here through the summer perhaps?
Tony will take it for you.
And then Thursday is my day to drive, so that would kind of work.
Why don't you and I work on that then,
Yeah,
Tony?
yeah, that would work out very well.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring out a point. The same place that he brings the fresh food, the food that I collect here from Rotary, we take right to the same place. That's the Bible school, Bible church there in Emmaus. They are the official food bank for Emmaus. Food pantry, you would
goes to the same place, and they collect all of that, and they distribute it in that community to people in need. And so they've got fresh food as well as the canned food, which we try to collect and so forth, and they put it all together in packages so that they have a blend of everything and distribute it every week to the needy families in that area. So I just want to bring that up because we do collect food here.
Thank you, Ralph.
Who takes care of the food in the way of cleaning it, prepping it to give out to people?
That's a good question. Often it comes down to what sort of location is accepting it. There are a few locations that are already food pantries because they are maybe centralized. They're like New Bethany Ministries in the middle of Bethlehem is also a drop-off location. And so obviously if you take it there, they have a professional kitchen, they'll take care of it. Other places, a lot of times that's the decision of the driving volunteer. If they know they're taking it to a place where it's going to go straight to the person receiving it, and then they'll often prepare it themselves, or they'll encourage the people who are dropping it off. For example, the Bogey Community Garden is run by the Knights of Columbus at St. Anne's in Emmaus, and they will often will prepare the foods themselves. It's mostly down to the individual gardener, however, and so often it's quite a grab bag between, you have people who package one person had a rhubarb and it was all individually portioned and donated, portioned already, and that was amazing. It had little recipes for what to do with it. It was really above and beyond. So it comes down to the gardener often. Yes?
I think we have a really unique synergy and opportunity here, particularly with our club. Our area is currently working on a fresh garden through a grant with Second Harvest.
Okay.
Additionally, we are, as our club and the community groups, we are starting a summer feeding program with East Penn School District. Same thing. And you're getting a postcard to attend our Music for Meals on Saturday, May 4th.
Thank you.
Because I think that we can really have an impact. We talked with our school district in coming up with some type of plan.
Yeah.
It's a perfect, Valerie, thank you for bringing him here.
Yeah, like I said, Emmaus has been a real hotbed. So much exciting stuff going on here. I'm not just saying this because I'm here. Emmaus is sort of the model for a lot of the rest of the Lehigh Valley, just because of all the stuff's going on here. Yes?
You said that you live in Hellertown.
Yes.
Why don't you move to Emmaus?
Could happen someday.
Joseph, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. So much before you stand up, Bryce, much to what Joseph said, remember one thing in Emmaus, in the East Penn School District, 33% of our kids are on subsidized food programs, 33%. 47% at Jefferson, 48% at Lincoln. And I forget what Albertus is, but it's the third highest. Guys, this is a serious problem. Joseph, thank you for doing what you do. We do appreciate it. Board meeting immediately following. Let's all please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,